Hey friends, what's up? Phillip here, and I have one question. Does Capital One have what it takes to get the American Express Gold Card out of my wallet? Well, let's get into it. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to hear more from me, go ahead and hit that bell icon as well. I love talking about points and miles, and I really would love to share it with you. So just doing that helps me to know that what I'm doing is helpful, and I can keep doing more of it. But now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get back into it. So Capital One has an interesting, set of news going on. Doctor of Credit actually announced that there were some emails that were sent out to Capital One, some Capital One cardholders, not all, and they were asking customers if they liked a certain card idea. And so this card idea is interesting, and it's kind of seems to be the fabled Savor X that people are talking about. So the Capital One Savor card is kind of their dining and entertainment card. And well, this one kind of goes to the nth degree. And so let's take a look at how this card could look, at least the way that it's being talked about in this potential survey. So this is very much not a card that's actually in production, but it could be something that may come out later. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So Capital One is, this email that went out is becoming kind of more common. So Built was very famous for sending out an email a couple of months ago where they asked customers if they were interested in some changes to the Built card, and there were a couple different tiers and things like that. So sending out these surveys can be indicative of credit cards that could come out in the future. So let's take a look at what's being pitched. So the current card is unnamed, but I've noticed a few other YouTubers are talking about it as the Savor X card, and I think that's probably pretty much where this is going, because this card is kind of the dining and also kind of entertainment card, so it makes sense that this would be kind of a higher tier version of the Savor card. So this card would earn 4 points per dollar, or 4% back on dining and entertainment purchases, as well as 3% or 3 points per dollar back on groceries. Now, it also could earn 10 points per dollar back on hotels and rental cars booked directly through the Capital One travel portal. And then it also could earn 10 points per dollar on Capital One entertainment purchases. And then, of course, 1% or 1 point per dollar on everything else. Now, this comes with it's again, this is all speculation. This is all something that's not been announced formally by Capital One, but it could come with a $295 annual fee. Now, that is a little bit less than the American Express Gold Card's annual fee of $325. But we'll see. So this is actually interesting because the American Express Gold Card has, a lot of different coupon books, and this potential Capital One card would kind of be no different. So you get multiple potential credits that were added in this email from that was revealed by the Doctor of Credit. So there is a 100 annual Capital One portal credit. Now, Matt Clausen actually introduced an idea that this could be very similar to the way the Capital One travel portal credit is instituted with the Venture X card. And so how that is basically you make a booking using the card in the Capital One travel portal, and it gives you a discount of $100. So it's theorized that that's how this one would work. It stands to reason that they would do things the way they're doing with other cards, so that kind of tracks for me. Now, there's also something, and this is kind of the biggest question mark of this card. There's a $100 dining credit on a collection of best restaurants. And so they actually advertise that in the email that it says there's Michelin star restaurants that are going to be a part of this list. And so it's kind of uncertain what this collection would look like. It all depends on whether or not it's actually, accessible for most people. So we'll see what happens with that. And if this card comes into fruition, we'll talk about it. Now, this card also will come with, or could come with, rather, I need to make sure I'm being careful with my words. This could come with an annual $120 Starbucks credit. And that $120 is kind of special because that could signify that it's a $10 a month credit. And so that's important to think about as well. So also, interestingly enough, Apple TV Plus membership is included for a year as well. And then Uber One, so that's Uber and Uber Eats' kind of special discount membership program. So that would come free with this card if it were actually instituted as well. Now, so the Savor card has had the Uber One benefit before, as well as 10x on Uber purchases, and that included Uber Eats. That ended last November, and I was really sad about it. I stocked up about 10,000 points just off of Uber Eats purchases. In fact, well, that helped pay for some overseas travel for my wife and I last year. So, well, that was really helpful. So hopefully something like that comes back. So who should care about this? So this is clearly a little bit more. So I know the American Express CEO once called the American Express Gold Card the dining card. So if we were to think about what this potential card could be, it kind of seems like the entertainment or going out card. So this is you have dining is covered as a category. You also have sporting events and other kind of entertainment. So you have sporting events, theaters, all sorts of things can kind of fit into that entertainment category. And it also works well if you buy groceries. It gets 3% or 3 points per dollar back for that. So, but mostly because the entertainment is the other 4X category, this is kind of more the going out card. And so if you're someone who is planning on going out to eat a lot, who plans on doing things outside, like going to the theater or something like that, then this could be a solid card if it comes to fruition. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about as well with the American Express Gold Card and this potential Capital One card is that this Starbucks credit they're thinking about is a little bit more interesting to more people than the Dunkin' Donuts credit. And the reason why is because, well, Starbucks has more of not only a national appeal, it has a national footprint. You can go to a Starbucks and get the exact same drink from coast to coast. You can also do the same thing internationally as well. And so this idea of a Starbucks credit could be more interesting to more people than the Dunkin' credit could with the American Express Gold Card. So that's important to consider as well. The dining credit could be difficult to get value from depending on what's in the collection. So that's kind of going to be a question mark about what's going to happen. Now, this is very clearly a shot across the bow for American Express. So this is essentially supposed to be a direct competitor with a Gold Card if this card gets actually introduced. Now, the American Express Gold Card has a $300 annual fee, which we talked about earlier, but it also comes with a lot of credits. Now, this one gets 4x dining and on U.S. groceries, and 3 points per dollar on airfare, and 1 point per dollar on everything else. And now this one comes with the $120 dining credit, which is $10 each month, $120 Uber Eats credit, which is $10 each month as well, $100 Resi credit, which is $50 every 6 months, and then the $84 Dunkin' credit, which is $7 every month. So basically you can tell that they're kind of about the same. The only key real difference is kind of, the basic credits and whether or not you can make different ones work for you. Obviously this potential potential Capital One card has a lower multiplier for groceries, whereas it also has a higher multiplier for entertainment, which isn't covered by the Gold Card at all. So the question is, would this potential Savor X card win in my wallet and maybe kick out my American Express Gold Card? And well, I gotta say, it's not really much of a no-brainer anymore. So I really love the Savor card. I really love the Venture card and how that works. But the thing is, it hasn't really been a dominant place in my wallet so far. And the reasons is because I like American Express for main 3 reasons. So the multipliers with the Gold Card and the Platinum Card combined, and even the Green Card with the very broad 3 points per dollar travels categories and transit categories are really incredible. And so most people will realize that if they've start spending with any other of these banks, that the American Express ecosystem of cards kind of gives you the most amount of points in, well, a faster way. And so these multipliers are one of the key reasons to go with American Express. Now, you also have really great transfer partners with American Express. Now, you have a bunch of different hotel options from Hilton to Marriott. You also have a ton of airfare options. So you can do Air France, Virgin Atlantic. You can use Aeromexico, Aeroplan. There's all sorts of options, and those options give you even better options. And so those transfer partners are really kind of awesome. Now, you also go to the American Express for the customer service. And so traditionally, American Express has had really great customer service. That is starting to fall to the wayside. And that's kind of where I'm getting to my point here. So customer service is starting to go away with American Express. That's one of the 3 reasons I use them. Now, this new potential Capital One card is very similar or about the same with the multipliers, which means that the transfer partners are really the only reason I would want to keep the American Express card in my wallet over any other Capital One competitor. And well, I mostly use transfer partners that are shared between Capital One and American Express. Most of my points, in fact, the lion's share of my points have gone towards either Air France or Virgin Atlantic. And because both of those fly directly to Europe from my home airport, I don't really see that changing very often. So the 3 main reasons why I've historically chosen American Express can be going away if this card were to be instituted and I could get value from these credits. So it is quite possible that if this card were to come to fruition, it could get rid of the American Express Gold card from my wallet, which would be really interesting. So far, the Gold card has beaten everything in my wallet. I get a lot of use out of the credits. There's a lot of resi restaurants near me. There's also a lot of places near me, near where I work, that take Grubhub and Uber Eats pickup orders, but they don't charge anything more for them. So I get a lot of organic, use out of those credits, and so I also earn a lot on this card, and so that's important to me too. So this is going to be an interesting question. It's going to be interesting to see what this Capital One potential card turns into, and whether or not they're willing to give it to a lot of different people in the credit card community. But this could, if this comes out, actually replace the American Express Gold card in my wallet. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me on this little rant. If you have a similar idea, let me know in the comments below. If you think I'm crazy for getting rid of the American Express Gold card, also let me know in the comments below too. But again, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.